This is Molly Holly, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling for Life.
Welcome to Pro Wrestling for Life, everybody. I'm your host, two-time WWE Hall of Famer, X-Pac. Joining me right now is my co-host, Nick Houseman. Hey, Nick.
Hello, Sean. How
Hello
are you?
there.
Yes.
Woo-wee.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just waiting for the signal to go bad because, this is take 3, everybody. Nick hates it when I do this, but, it's take 3. Hopefully, third time's a charm, and we can get this thing nice and smooth.
Yeah, they haven't got to hear the fantastic witty banter that's lost forever.
Forever.
Yeah, because
forever.
Whatever. Hey, it doesn't matter, Sean. I would climb through 500 yards of shitty Wi-Fi connection to do this show. I would Shawshank Redemption this show all day long, man. So it's not a big deal. We got a great show here today, Sean. We're going to welcome on Molly Holly here in a little bit. Great conversation with Molly. You're going to welcome on Sam Roberts here in just a little bit. You guys are going to talk about your awesome ladder match against Eddie Guerrero from the not so awesome WCW Souled Out 1997 pay-per-view, which historically, when on Wrestle Craptatitude levels, I think that's the word, the pay-per-view not wonderful.
I had the best match on the worst pay-per-view of all time.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. You and Eddie tore the house down in this ladder match. And so Sam is going to come in here and he's going to talk to you all about this ladder match and just kind of in general about WCW Souled Out 1997, which again was like a train wreck. So whatever, we'll get to it.
I'm sure Sam, when he decided on the topic, I'm sure he didn't realize there was going to be that much of a story behind it.
But that's the thing is you get a good qualified professional in here. They have good insight. They know their subject. You pick good topics. And that's what Sam did here today.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then to get to the show, you're going to play your latest game show with a couple fans who are, by the way, Patreon subscribers. So if you want to play in the games, go become a Patreon subscriber. You get the full version of the Molly Holly interview and all the other interviews we do. But the game that they're going to end the show with here today is called Mortal Kombat or Monday Night Raw, a game I invented because I didn't think people would be able to tell the difference between lines of dialogue between the two, and because I saw you tweeted that you really like Mortal Kombat. So
yeah, I did, yeah. But I'm not like a big, huge Mortal Kombat geek or anything like that. So when I tweeted that, of course, people went in on me. Oh, there was 4. Which one? You're just ripping it apart, and I'm like, the 95 and the 2021, those ones. But I like the old school. Anyways, who cares? It was just for the sake of the game.
Yeah. No, well, for the sake of the game, it made me laugh because I know that you liked Mortal Kombat. A lot of people really like Mortal Kombat. Yeah. I thought it was a beautiful film, but it was written by like a 12-year-old. Like that was not the best writing I think that I've ever heard in a film. So
it was like other things that I enjoyed about it. Like I wasn't really like honing in on, was it masterful storytelling? It was pleasant for the eyes. There were some nice fight scenes and things like that. And I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan from the 1995 version because I don't know if you remember this guy. He used to be kind of like the ringside doctor sort of during the Attitude Era, Francois Petit. Okay. And he was Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat in the 95 one. Yeah. Yeah, he was amazing. I used to train under him. I used to train under him out in LA, out here in LA. Yeah. Because he would teach at Gold's Gym Venice. He was great.
Wait. The guy who was Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 95 was the ringside physician for WWF?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a licensed physician, but he was the guy that was down there in the middle of everything. And he used to be our kind of he was a shiatsu guy. And so he would work on all of us, it would be like a massage, but even more, it's a lot more to it than just massage. But anyways, he was there with us every week.
I feel like Vince may have had an itchy finger and been like, wait, we have Sub-Zero? Maybe we could use this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you never would have known.
Yeah.
But so, there's a little tidbit for you there.
All right. Well, look, it never stops. Insight. So yeah, we got a loaded show, Mortal Kombat game at the end of the show. Let's just get to it here. This week in wrestling, I want to start off here. We've had Lex Luger on, we've had Ric Flair on the show so far. Obviously, connection with Horsemen. We've talked at length about your work with the Horsemen already in the short history of the show. But Steve Mongo McMichael from here in my backyard in Chicago, he's suffering from ALS. I just didn't know if you wanted to send out any kind words or talk just a bit about what it was like for you to work with Mongo.
I mean, it was just so hard to read that story and see that and see how Steve looks now. And I remember Steve even before the Horsemen and WCW and his doing the color commentary with his little dog Fifi or whatever. I can't. What's that?
I think it was
Pepe. Yeah. So during all that stuff with LT and Bam Bam for WrestleMania 11.
Yeah.
They had all the football players involved in that. And Mongo, that's the first time Mongo, I remember coming around wrestling. Like he had this big pull apart brawl with the Godfather when he was still Kama, the Ultimate Fighting Machine.
Yeah.
Like we had TV in Stockton, California. And they had this big pull apart. Like, and it was, two big old badasses, like really going they weren't trying to hurt each other, but they were both from different worlds and neither one of them wanted to look bad. So, it was quite interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. Cause a lot of people obviously, like I started with the Horseman stuff, would immediately jump to Mongo and the work he did with the briefcase and everything like that. But yeah, I think it was cause they were going into WrestleMania 10, right?
Yeah.
And
11.
Oh yeah. All right. But LT obviously was, very physical. He's in a match, but Mongo was really the only other football player that, showed an interest in getting physical in that way, if I'm not too mistaken, during that period. So
that makes sense. I'm not 100% sure, but that makes sense, and just so like I was already familiar with him and we kind of knew each other a little bit just because of that little short thing he did WWF. And so when I finally got to WCW, man, like it was, people, people will make jokes or whatever because some of the stuff is kind of rough around the edges to be nice about it, but people loved him. People loved Mongo, and everyone just knew he was tough, and he was so authentic. And I've said this a bunch of times already about him, but I really and I'm not just saying this right now. Like, if you go back for a while, anything I've ever said about Mongo, I always talked about how much I really enjoyed working with him.
Yeah,
really, because I understood his limitations, and I worked around that, and we did some good stuff because Denise brought up in last week's show, the War Games '97. And I did some great stuff. Like some of the best stuff in that whole match was me and Mongo. So yeah. And so I loved that guy. And it's been about 1.5 or 2 years, maybe a little longer, but football player named Gilbert Brown had this charity event. And it wasn't far. It was somewhere in Wisconsin. And so I came in for it, and Mongo was there, and he still looked great. Man. It was great seeing him. And I was, it was one of those things where, hey man, it's so happy to see you. It's so happy to see you still alive. Like, and vice versa, and it was true, man. It was so good to see him. And I'm so heartbroken by this, man. Like I reached out to Gilbert Brown and I was like, man, I couldn't stop crying for a while. Be 100% honest with you. So hard, man, to see that, because it could be me, it could be a lot of my friends, because who knows why he has that or what caused it.
Yeah, man. And I obviously didn't know Mongo like you did, but to kind of just show people like how much Mongo really did love wrestling, he has a restaurant here out in Romeoville, Illinois, which is not far outside Chicago, called Mongo's. Very original. Yeah. Or I think it's called McMichael's, but we would go there after shows. And he would be there just like some nights, because it'd be like Saturday nights, and he would just hold court with
Yeah.
like indie wrestlers, you know.
Yep.
I had a buddy, Robert Ego Anthony, who's wrestled for AEW here recently. He shared a story where he was just like, I remember sitting at the bar and showing Mongo a highlight reel of his own botches, and
Yeah.
he just laughed and he loved that. And
They
like,
were great.
yeah, you know,
Like that Mongo, that Twitter account that would post all the botches. Like some people hit him up like after the news came out, like, don't you feel bad now? But like, don't, like, he wasn't doing that out of malice. Like he loves Mongo too.
the best and last Mongo thing here, because I know there's one or two other things I want to touch on, but like I only ever wrestled one match. It was against Ash on, and I was very nervous, and I walked to Gorilla, or what we had with Gorilla at the show, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And out of nowhere, as I'm walking over, Mongo's standing there, ready to go out. I didn't even know he was there, and he looks me up and down, and I'm wearing this ridiculous multicolored robe, and he's like, "Man, you look like a heel." I was like, "Thank you. I am a heel. That's a wonderful compliment." And then he walked out and he announced his candidacy for mayor of Romeoville, Illinois. And it was just, yeah, dude.
Did he actually run?
He ran. He did. I don't think he won. But like,
how could he not win?
Dude, it was just like he showed up to the show, I guess, like during the first half, because my match was like was the opener for the second half. And he was like, "I'd like to announce my mayoral campaign here if you guys will give me the microphone," because it was like a big show. And it was like, yeah, and send him to Gorilla. They're like, so I didn't know what was going on. I was like already and very intense, and yeah, he just came out, and that was it. That was my Mongo story.
Right on. And he, you know, like you talk about him holding court and all of that, and that's why he was perfect for wrestling, because like the guys like Kurt Hennig, like I could name guys like that when they walk into a place, people just gravitate towards them, you know. And because of that, they're holding court, and it's fun to be around them, and you know, like you could feed off that energy, man. And so yeah, hey Mongo, man, I love you very much. Love you very much, man. If you see this,
well, pivoting a little bit to some more business stuff. We got some non-WWE news. Our friends over at MLW, huge news. They've signed with Vice TV. They're going to be rolling out new content, or not new content, archive content starting this Saturday. And then I think the plan here is by the end of the summer to be touring again, to be producing new shows and putting out new content on Vice TV. And it sounds like paired with Dark Side of the Ring, you know, the new season's coming out. They'll be doing stuff going in, and I would imagine coming out at Dark Side of the Ring. What do you think about this new partnership, Sean?
seems like a good fit, you know. And there's, you know, one thing I like about MLW is you're not confusing MLW with Impact or AEW. They have their own talent. Like there's zero brand confusion as far as I'm concerned. You know, they're real smart and doing whatever they had to do to keep, you know, guys like Hammerstone and, you know, Jacob Fatu. And so they must be making those guys happy. Good for them, man. And it just seems like a good fit. You know, since Vice was doing the Dark Side of the Ring stuff already, it just seemed like, oh, why don't they have, you know, add a little bit more wrestling content to their network?
Yeah, no, a lot of fans been saying that. And the big thing for me too, is you mentioned some great names, Hammerstone and Fatu, awesome, right? They're blue chip. But
the Von Erichs, I mean,
that's who I was going to get to, man. The Von Erichs, because the highest rated, or I think one of the highest rated Dark Side of the Rings episodes ever was the last Von Erich. And it featured Ross and Marshall with their dad. And so there's like this real natural tie-in already. I know Court was he's been really loyal and tight with the Von Erichs. I think this is maybe a long play he's had in mind. I think he kind of saw where this was all going to fit together. So I think it's, dude, I mean, how could you not be excited about this? Everybody loves Dark Side. And I'm hoping too that MLW gets some money here.
Yes.
Go out, get some production stuff, do some live TV. That I think would really bring a lot to the product.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm wondering is their production values are fine for what they've been doing so far, but I'm wondering I wonder if that's going to change now that they're with Vice. I wonder if there was talk of that, or if they're just happy with it how it is. Because I mean, it's just fine how it is, but it would be even cooler with upgraded production values.
Yeah, and I'll put over too. They have a new commentator, Ray Flores, who's from my backyard here in Chicago, but he just did commentary. He was play-by-play for the Triller Fight Club thing with Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And so it was Ray and Snoop calling the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight. And Ray's signed on for the next year. And I mean, he just looks like money. Like Ray is like one of those guys, 3-piece suit, that's a money guy right there. And his voice is great. And he worked as a manager here on the Indies too with me. But that was years ago.
Yeah.
But just kind of bringing in, you talk about the pieces, the wrestlers. I think Court's doing a good job of kind of flushing out the spaces around it too. I think he's got a real good team over there at the moment.
I think a lot of people don't understand how important having the good announce team is. They talk, everyone's so focused on the talent and all that, but they're talent too, So, I mean, and yeah, that's hugely important.
Dude, I started doing commentary here for Warrior Wrestling in Chicago, and I was really lucky to have Rich Bikini, who did commentary for MLW, as like a mentor and teaching me this. But dude, it's like being the place kicker, man. Like if something doesn't work, doesn't go wrong, it's just like the easiest thing for fans to go after the commentator. So honestly, like when I finish a show now and nobody's talking about me, I'm like, wonderful. I've done a great job.
Yes.
Nobody noticed me in and out.
Yeah. Hey, is there anything else? Any other details about the deal with Vice?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I kind of hit all the big stuff. I mean, a lot of it is really just the tie-in. I mean, the new Dark Side season coming out. They just put out the full episode list here. Pillman, Nick Gage, Collision in Korea, Ultimate Warrior, Grizzly Smith, Dynamite Kid, Johnny K9.
Wow, Grizzly Smith.
Yeah, Grizzly Smith's good at episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Sean doesn't know all the episodes yet, by the way.
I told him
I'd read them on the air.
I mean, I've heard rumor of a few like subjects that they're trying to do a whole episode on.
Okay. Johnny K9, the WWF steroid trials, FMW, Luna Vachon, XPW, Chris Canyon, and then of course the plane ride from hell is going to get 60 minutes of television time.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So, but that's
the thing. Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, they reached out to me. I just decided, maybe not a good idea if I went on there.
Well, but I mean, dude, they got Steve Austin this season. I mean, these are big. I mean, this is gonna be a real big season for them, and I think the MLW stuff playing off this season is just gonna be good for MLW, and Dark Side will be what it is. But the last thing I want to ask you about here, man, Daniel Bryan. He's out there publicly talking about how his WWE contract's up. He did a WrestleMania weekend Q&A where he said that he'd like to wrestle outside of WWE while also still wrestling for WWE if possible. So he still wants to wrestle. He just, feel a little
And that's smart of him because he's trying to preserve his relationship with the company. And, and still be able to go out there and do things to satisfy himself at this stage of his life and career, and I think it would behoove the company to let him do that. Honestly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, hey, go ahead and go main event on AEW's pay-per-view or something like that. But like, if you want to go off and do his own thing and even produce it himself or, I don't know. Good for him.
Yeah. I mean, and AEW's kind of shown that the North American New Japan relationship can work, right? Like, it seems like you can kind of put a little distance there. I don't know. I think you're right about AEW, maybe Ring of Honor, but I definitely think if Dana Bryan wants to go over to Japan, this pandemic's over, and do some like really intense, New Japan style, strong style bouts, because obviously he can do that. I just think it makes him look cooler, and I think it would, bring some brand value back to WWE for letting him kind of do something like that,
Maybe so, huh? Yeah, maybe so. All right, everyone, joining us right now, one of my favorite people in the entire industry. She is now a WWE Hall of Famer, very well deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, Molly Holly.
Hi.
Hey. Molly and I are connected. We have that Malenko connection and also the Minnesota connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, with the WCW stuff, why did, because you were getting kind of over there, you like transitioned over into the Mona stuff. Like, why did it not work out? How did you even wind up over at WWE kind of deal?
Well, Macho Man had either left WCW or just stopped going. I'm not sure. Like, I was brought on by Macho Man, and then all of a sudden he wasn't there, and so they were looking at me like, wait a minute, you're like Macho Man's friend and he's not here, so what are we doing with you again? So they just didn't issue the second year of my contract. There wasn't a women's division. I wasn't like in with anybody. Nobody said, oh, I want her as my manager. Like, right. So I was at the power plant. So they pretty much what they did is they brought me to the power plant. I trained a bunch of the Nitro girls, and then I just did squats with Palumbo and Jindrak and Alan Funk and Elix Skipper and like Romeo. Like I just hung out at the power plant and worked out I did squats all day. So finally, after doing that for like 6 months, JJ Dillon called me and he's like, yeah, we're not going to issue your second year of your contract. And I said, oh, when can I go try to work somewhere else? And he's like, where? I'm like, WWF? And he's like, oh, I guess you can right now. And so the next week I got a job at the WWF.
Of course you did. Like, what might have thought that you ended up having your contract, absorbed by WWE when they bought WCW, but that wasn't the case. You were already there, right?
I was already there. Yeah. I would say I was there for maybe like 9 months or so, maybe even a year, but but yes, before WCW folded, I did go to WWF.
And when I think about your look and like the persona you had in WCW is totally different than the WWE one.
Yeah. I mean, when Macho Man gave me this gimmick of like a beauty queen thing, he's like, I know it's been done before, but whatever, we'll just figure it out, So he knew it wasn't like a great fit for me. It wasn't original. It was just a way.
But it was a good fit for him, though.
It was a good fit for him.
Yeah.
And so to be surrounded by some flashy ladies, like brought up his, whether it's like youthfulness or his whatever makes him cool, So it worked out. But I was totally, when I first talked to Jim Ross Jim Ross offered me a developmental contract at WWE. During the meeting, he's like, a lot of the ladies start out as one of the Godfather's hoes. And I was like, yeah, that I'm sure
it was a different time.
So I was like inside, I was like, oh, I hope that's not what I do on the show. And I think Dean Malenko actually stuck up for me and was like, I think you're in this role, so I did have some advocates that were just gently trying to make sure I got steered in a direction that would bring me joy instead of embarrassment.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. I don't think I can imagine you, agreeing to it. Like, I mean, what would you have done if you actually were faced with that decision?
So if you rewind, Vince Russo had come to WCW and he was changing the way the show was run. There was a lot of like hot lesbian action and all this like other like really edgy stuff. But
very nice way of putting it.
I had been asked to do something that I said, doesn't that seem like sexual assault? And him and the other writers, whatever, like looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, when you like tear someone's clothes off without their permission and humiliate them, doesn't that seem like bad? And they're all looking at me like, well, you're not really sexually assaulting her. It's just a TV show.
You're just portraying it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Medusa's like, I don't care. You can rip my clothes off. And I was like, oh, like, so there were times where I felt like, wait a minute, like I do want to be a pro wrestler, but I don't really want to portray a sex offender. So I don't know. It was.
Well, I can't imagine why. It's just a work. It's just a TV show.
So
that's what I don't like about that, using that excuse.
There were definitely stressful moments throughout my entire career where I had to like navigate, how do I still do this without hating it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, like, just considering where we're at right now, you know, I almost wish we could like teleport you 20 years in the future, you know, so you could enjoy what's going on at the moment, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
I try instead of having like a bunch of resentments like, oh, I only had 4-minute matches and it was all this diva stuff. Like I try to think about the positive that really because I did have shorter matches and because I did more, acting stuff or whatever, my body is like good. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have to do 45-minute Broadways off ladders and cages and things where my body got wrecked. So I thought like, oh, it was kind of good that I still got to wrestle. Obviously, I got to be in the Hall of Fame, which is awesome. But I didn't have to really put my body through all the stuff that the top guys had to do.
Hey, Molly, how did you make it through your run, not just in WWE, but the business in general, like considering the things we're talking about and the things we're not talking about?
Right.
With still like, that thing intact that you had when you got into the business. You know what I mean? Like, I referred to you, like Nick brought it up in an interview in the past. Like you're a saint in the wrestling business. I've said that in the past. And it was true. It really was. Considering where we all were, like as a product, and just like I'm just thinking about where my mind was at the time, the things that were acceptable to me.
Sure.
And I'm just like, how'd you do it?
Yeah, honestly, the fact that I had like a deep spiritual faith before I got into wrestling was super helpful, and that I've always valued a community of people that were encouraging and uplifting. And so, no matter where I lived or how I was traveling, tried to stay connected to like my faith community.
Yeah.
So, for a while, there was a Tuesday night church group for young adults, and it was perfect because I flew home Tuesday morning. So, I'd take a
Yeah.
nap, and then I'd get up and go to my church group on Tuesday nights, and it would kind of like refill me with some positivity or refill me
Yeah.
with some purpose. Because if I didn't have that, it definitely would have sucked all the life out of me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to just, totally demonize the, everything from that era. But I mean, there was some darkness, I mean, there
Right.
really was. And I
And
mean, there was some
I
great
think
stuff too.
right. And I don't think it's just pro wrestling. I think that like
Yeah.
that sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the whole like show
Sure.
business lifestyle is where there is an underbelly to it. There is a dark side to it. And so even though I had some regrets, I mean, they're kind enough not to out me on things that I've done that were selfish or terrible or whatever, because I am a human being. I certainly
Yeah.
have done things that I wish I would not have done in my lifetime.
Sure.
But I feel like that whenever I would reconnect with my faith community, it just helped me like reshift my focus. Like, oh, my value as a human is not directly related to my popularity on TV. Like
Yeah.
that's because that's how I would get sucked in, is like believing that if the head of the wrestling world said I wasn't good enough, that, oh, I'm not good enough. And so I
Right.
just kind of always reshift my focus to connect with people that live a more well-balanced life to help keep my brain in check.
Yeah.
yeah, you're way different than all the other wrestlers. You're too normal.
It's crazy, right?
It's a little weird. Anyway, on a more positive note, I mean, you're Molly Holly, right? Everybody got to know you because you got made cousins with the Hollies, right? Bob and
Mhm.
so you dodge being a hoe, which is great, and you wind up being Molly Holly. How does that kind of come about with Bob and Crash?
Well, I had been hired under developmental. I had also done their like Memphis territory. So I got to hang out with Ronnie Killings and Brian Kendrick and Brian Danielson. It was like a really fun crew. And so then they started to bring me to TVs just to do dark matches with like Jacqueline or Ivory or whoever to kind of see where I would fit in. And then I was backstage one day and Dave Hebner comes up to me and he says, Molly Holly. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, Molly Holly. And I was just like, I don't know what you're saying. And then maybe like 2 minutes later, Stephanie McMahon comes over and she goes, we got this idea that you would look really good with the Holly cousins. So we're going to call you Molly Holly. And I was like, oh, that's what Dave was talking about. He just knew before I knew. So they just did it for me. I think because we had blonde hair and Bob was actually out on an injury. So I think it gave some, for Crash to have like a partner. I guess that's why they chose it, but I'm happy that they did because it was really great working with them.
It was really good stuff. I really liked, the chemistry you and Crash. Like Crash Holly was a great character, I thought.
Oh yeah,
You
and I
know?
liked that I could kind of like play off of him. If I can see someone to like copy or to know like what. Anyway, so it was he was nice enough to include me in all the action and let me like kind
Yeah.
of copy his costumes or copy his antics, and the fans loved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Bob is a very scary, tough man, right? Like,
Well, Bob's always been very, very nice to me. I know he can play the tough guy, but thankfully for me, he always treated me really good.
so I'm a
I-
huge. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Sean.
no, no, please.
Well, I was gonna say I'm a huge Shakespeare nerd, and like I was researching you before we did this interview, and I was reminded of how you had the Spike Dudley romance, and it was like two houses divided. And I know I sound like a huge nerd saying that, but I mean, how much fun was it for you to kind of get to play around in that space with all those characters right then?
Oh, it was awesome. To even be involved in any kind of a storyline is so huge. Like it's it's not very I mean, it's still fun to be on Sunday Night Heat, but to be thrown in a situation where you're just doing a 4-minute match for no reason, it's like, oh, but I want to do so much more. And so then when they put me in this storyline with Spike where we're like have this like Disney romance, we like each other and it's all sweet and innocent. Like
It was really cool.
I loved it. And Spike,
Yeah.
super nice and like a good person to be paired up with. You don't want to be paired up with some creeper who's going to take advantage of the situation. So he was very great to work with. And it worked out awesome that the Dudleys were so popular. So then it kind of like brought up my popularity just being in the skits with them.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of that. Spike Dudley was just so much fun, right? He's a really nice. He's like you. He's like just a really nice, normal guy. I think out on the East Coast now. So
Hey, really, the stuff with Hurricane was really great too.
Oh yeah, Shane was another one who I was really glad to be paired up with. Now we were friends in WCW, so it was nice that I already knew him. We already had a friendship,
oh, cool.
and then of course his popularity was more than mine, so that kind of like brought me up. And plus, I love cheesy comedy,
Yeah.
campy type stuff. Like I'm not a gifted actress by any means, but if I can do something goofy, that makes it fun.
I wasn't as big a fan of it at the time, not to make this about me, but like looking back on it, I was stupid. Like that stuff was great.
Well, I
Like
think
I don't know if it was just the comic book thingy. Like I don't know. I was something wrong with me at the time. That was
Well, no, I think that it's good if the show has like
Yeah.
some serious tough guys and some comedy and some dark, like scary characters so I think it's good to have a wide variety on the show.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
What was y'all's relationship like, by the way? Like, I mean, I didn't find a whole lot of you two like working together. I just didn't know what your friendship level was like.
Me and Hurricane?
No, you and Sean Waltman.
Oh,
Oh.
I feel
You mean
feel
at the
like-
time?
Yeah.
Oh, we just saw each other in passing. Like we weren't like
So-
great friends or anything, were we? Like,
so backstage, like the big stars all hang out, and then the curtain jerkers like myself all hang out. And so honestly, Sean's like way up with like the mega stars. And so he'd be someone I'd be intimidated to like say anything more than hi to. And we've really only become better friends after I left
Yeah.
wrestling. So it's just, I mean, maybe I could walk up to any big star and be like, oh, hi, Hulk Hogan, let's be friends. But like, I don't know. I always felt better with like the referees and the stagehands.
yeah, I don't remember having that many actual interactions with you, but I always kept my eye on you, and I always, it was always obvious, like the type of person you were, and I used to just be amazed at it,
Oh,
like the things I would hear and everything, and I mean, God, it sure is nice to have somebody like that around, like that. We could say we at least have somebody like that in the locker room.
You did great with the Holly stuff and then in the Mighty Molly stuff, and then they kind of start to position you more as like a champion, right? Like you move into the women's championship picture. What you talk about being intimidated by big characters? What was your relationship like with Vince? Like, what were the conversations you were having with him at the time?
I didn't have any conversations with Vince. The only conversation I've had with Vince in my entire career was when I asked to be released from my contract early. It's the only time I've ever said more than hello to him. So the way that I got hired was through Jim Ross, and then throughout my time there, I would talk with the writers or head of talent relations, but I didn't really have any conversations with Vince. So it was a big deal for me to walk into his office and ask to tell him thank you for everything and that I'd like to close my chapter of pro wrestling. But yeah, so I wouldn't say that I have like a friendship with him or anything. I mean, he shook my hand at the Hall of Fame and I took my picture with him and he was very nice. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, Molly, you know, for some reason, I wasn't surprised that you were the one they talked into shaving their head. Like you're not the first person they tried to get a woman they tried to get to shave their head. Tori that was with me when I was.
Oh yes, Tori Park.
Yeah, they tried to get her to shave her head too. She's like, no.
Yeah, I was happy to do it, honestly.
It seemed like you were just fine with it.
And really, if it was a common hairstyle for girls, that's the hairstyle I would have right now. Like, I loved it personally. I remember that as we were talking about storylines, we had thought, oh, what if that I'm supposed to get my head shaved because I lose, but then I knock Victoria out and shave her head, and Victoria was like, no way, I'm not getting my head shaved. But yeah, I didn't mind.
How was it for you after having kind of been through everything you'd been in the business to finally get those moments where you got to have these championship matches? I mean, you had classics with Lita and Trish and everything. That was a great couple year run you had there as a singles.
Well, they just kept hiring more solid girls, and the ones that were already there were like determined to put on good matches. Fit Finley got put with us as an agent, and he wanted to make sure that we had matches, even though they might have been a shorter time frame. He wanted to make sure that they were just as good as the guys, and everybody was on board. I mean, whether it was Gail Kim, Jazz, I mean, it was a great crew. And I felt so blessed that I got to be a part of that, because when I first got hired, there wasn't a lot happening, but Trish was a huge part in like building it up, because even though she was newer to wrestling, she could sell. I mean, she just knew how to have that like charisma, that extra thing that drew the fans in, and it created interest. And the more interest, they thought, oh, let's give the girls more time, or let's hire another girl. And it just really started to build. So I was loving it. No matter who I could, it was like a whiteboard with your name on who you're going to be wrestling that night. And no matter which girl it was, I knew it was going to be great, because they were all talented. Even if they put me with like Terry Reynolds or Stacy Keibler or something, they still were like really focused on making it good, and they were okay with risking their bodies, and they're like, all right, let's just do it. And even if I don't know how to fall right, I'll risk getting hurt because we want it to be good. And so yeah, it was a great season for me.
Hey Molly, can we put over Dave Finley for a little bit, and like how important he's been to women's wrestling?
Oh my gosh. So I'm not going to before Fit Finley became our agent, they had tried out a few other agents, and I'm not going to name names, but there is an old school wrestler whom I love as a person, who got tried out as one of our agents. And no lie, he's like, all right, why don't we do this spot where like you put your face in Trish Stratus's boobs, and you go, you know, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like this is like, are we rewinding time? No, we're moving forward. Like, it was awful. And I thought, this is not going to work out. So I actually told, it was John Laurinaitis at the time that had just stepped into the talent relations role. And I was like, this guy's going to get in trouble for sexual harassment. I'm like, he does not mean any harm. He's just thinking like he's never seen our show before. He doesn't even know what we can do. And so that's when he brought in Fit Finley to see like, oh, we'll give Fit Finley a try. And it was awesome. I mean, Fit was like, and then you can rip her head off with this, and then you can, you know, like throw her over the top rope. But he was just like excited about us just, you know, making it happen, and getting, you know, it totally changed what we were allowed to do, and how it all worked. It went from, you know, it just brought it to the next level of intensity, and we just wanted to suck all of his knowledge and all of his, you know, he's such a tough guy, and he just helped us become tough women.
Yeah, he did. And like for anyone that's ever been in a ring with Fit will tell you he's like one of the all-time greats in the history of wrestling. You know, I mean, even if some fans don't realize that, like, amazing, like really one of the greatest. And like he was a champion for the ladies, and that was such a huge thing.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was in WCW, he worked there. He had a long mullet,
Yeah.
and I was scared to death of him. I was like, that is a real life, like tough guy. And I was so scared. And then here later, he becomes our advocate, and I'm like, I love this guy. So I thought, oh, maybe I could have even been absorbing his information back in WCW, but I was like too intimidated. So I kind of wish I could have rewinded back to then. But yeah, he really brought all the women to the next level.
And I know you didn't get it. You were gone by the time, but Triple H has been like his mentality on how to use the women. His mentality is you just use them the same as you do the guys. They're not like some like sideshow like like the minis like it used to be there never was a roster of women.
Sure.
It used to be okay if you had like a one woman champ, you would bring one woman in at a time to work with her. There wasn't like you didn't even need a women's locker room, right?
Right. Yeah, I've been on many a show, especially on the indies, where it was like a mixed tag where I'd be with a little person, me and little
Yes.
person versus another lady and a little person, and then that was like the comedy act or like
Exactly.
the sideshow.
Yeah.
What was you mentioned you framed it, by the way, the first time I've ever heard a woman of that era be like, that's sexual assault, that's sexual harassment, and I'm hard to argue with you about a lot of those things. What was your relationship like with the other women in the locker room that were willing to do things that you yourself were not like kind of willing to do?
I didn't have any beef with them. I thought, hey, everybody's has different dreams or goals or perspectives or
Yes.
like it did not bother me at all. Like I had no hard feelings about somebody like, oh no, I love doing the mud wrestling or whatever. It's like, hey, if the fans are entertained and the girls are having a good time, that's awesome. Like I never had any problem with any of the girls.
Yeah, you never came off as like, okay, you came off as such a good, pure person, but like you never came off judgmental. You didn't walk around like, like you're better than anyone else. It was nothing like that. Like if anyone might think that, it's definitely not the case.
And I know that there is a place for women to flaunt their sexuality. Like obviously, blonde hair and big boobs draws money, and that's part of what keeps the business going. Like I'm not going to say like we need to stop looking good and we just got, like I understand how the world works, and so I'm not going to be mad at someone who like really excels at that particular part of entertainment.
Sure, fair enough. And I mean, you've had a chance to mix it up with some of the new talent. You've been in 2 of the women's Royal Rumbles now.
Yeah.
Like, what's it
It's
like?
So embarrassing.
What do you mean?
Every time they come back and they're like, we want you in the ring. I'm like, no, I am not conditioned at all. Like I might go jogging for like 3 miles, but as far as like falling down or having somebody knock me down, my body is not conditioned to that. So the few times I've been in the ring, the girls have been so gracious and kind to me to kind of cover for me, to try to like, I'd be completely out of breath and they would find a way to not expose my weaknesses. The girls were that good. So thankfully everyone has covered for me the couple times that I've been in the ring, but I was hurting.
And when Molly, when you say you're hurting, you're specifically talking about blowing up in there.
Yeah. So so the last
blowing
time
up means out of breath and you can't
out of
breathe.
breath.
And that's one of my biggest fears, Molly.
It is. They had me in there for 7 minutes, which you might think 7 minutes is no big deal. No, by 2 minutes in, I was like, just trying to calm down so that I can. But yeah, it is a whole like takes a level of training. Like when I think about Randy Orton or these people who are currently putting on these amazing matches for 20-minute segments, I mean, that is an unbelievable athlete that can pull that off, because after 2 minutes I was dying in there.
Especially since they're not on the road and working as much as we used to. It's easy to stay in shape when you're working every night. But if you're only having matches like once a month or something, like, whoa.
Yeah, that would be hard. Like I forgot how much it hurt to just fall on your back, just take a bump. So like the first time in the ring a couple of years ago, I think I was in the Women's Evolution, and I was only in there for a little while, but the first time somebody knocked me down, I was like, whoa, that hurts. That hurts.
And the last one you got eliminated by Bianca Belair, who obviously just went on to win the title at WrestleMania. It was just a little factoid I was reading there. You know?
Yeah, that it is awesome to see those girls that I met a few years ago, like really coming to their own, like really either becoming champions or being in main events or just getting the spotlight even on like their acting skits or their personas. It's fun for me to see them really get the spotlight.
Hey Molly, were you watching Bianca versus Sasha from WrestleMania Night 1?
I didn't see that one because I was
Didn't see it?
traveling. I was on an airplane during that, so I didn't get to see it.
Highly recommend it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I've got the Peacock network, so I'll have to check it out.
Oh yeah.
When you walk into the locker room these days, Molly, is it kind of like that scene from Wayne's World where it's like the "We Are Not Worthy"? Like, 'cause I know so many women just have like such a reverence for you in the business right now.
It's funny. I was just telling so I have a regular job and my real life boss is a big hockey guy. And I was like, it's so weird. I said, I went to the Hall of Fame thing or at WrestleMania, actually just WrestleMania on the Sunday night. And I said, and I felt like I was like Wayne Gretzky in the locker room. Like,
Yeah.
yes, all the girls were super nice. And a few of them shared their personal stories about, how they watched me when they were little or they met me at a indie show or, like that kind of thing. And it really did make me feel special. Those girls were super nice to me.
It's an amazing feeling, right? To show back up. You're not really in that world anymore. Not like, and you come back in and everyone's just so like, oh, it's it's the best feeling in the world, honestly. When this is like your life.
It does feel good because it's not, I mean, of course it feels good if I do an autograph signing and there's fans there and everything. But when it's girls who've actually like taken the same path as me and wanted to become a pro wrestler and now their dreams are coming true, like there is something special about that to be connected to them.
Oh yeah.
Do you want a retirement match, Molly, or no?
No, I don't. And I was just talking with Sean Davari about this because he's like, well, you just kind of like left. Because it was true. Like after Raw, I just walked into Vince's office at the arena and I was like, can I please be let out of my contract? Thank you so much. But I just don't want to do this anymore. And Davari's like, you didn't even like have any kind of a storyline for like you got whacked with a chair and now you're out. He's like, nothing. Like the fans didn't get to say goodbye. And so when Davari found out that I was getting the Hall of Fame, he's like, oh, this is so awesome because now fans can kind of like say their goodbye to you. And I was like, oh, I guess that's a way to put it. But no, I'm not looking for like a one more match or any of that kind of stuff.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you don't seem like the type. Like I'm totally not surprised you just said that.
Well, yeah. if I like was passionate about it and I felt incomplete in my career and I just like loved it so much. I mean, I don't want to knock anybody who does go back and have another match. And I can't say I never will because May and Moolah were out there in their 80s doing it, so I don't know what they're going to talk me into 40 years from now. But right. Yeah, so I'm not going to like knock anybody who goes back out and wrestles. But I just don't like have a desire to at this time.
I just have one last thing I want to ask, and you can ask whatever you want, Sean. But mine's more of like a follow-up. Like you mentioned how you didn't really have a relationship with Vince. The only time you ever talked to him was when you asked for your release. You asked for it. It sounds like you got it. Like, what was that exchange like, in that room with you and Vince? I mean, if you don't mind letting us know what that was. Yeah.
It was awesome. Vince was great. So I first went in and I told him all about how my career has been such a blessing. The fact that I got to wrestle in 15 different countries, like I would have never seen those places if it wasn't for him. And the fact that I got, a good like retirement savings, because of how he paid me and all these, like, I wanted to let him know that this was an amazing experience and I am so grateful. And I feel complete in it. And I would like to be let out of my contract. I don't want to work anywhere else. I just don't want to, I just feel complete. And then he spent like 10 minutes telling me how important I was to the business, how much he's appreciated my work ethic, how great of a champion I was, he just complimented me for like 10 minutes and said that if I ever wanted to come back, the door was always open. And he shook my hand and that was it.
Hey, there's one thing about Vince. When he says things like that, he means them. That stuff comes from the heart when it comes to Vince. He doesn't just say that to anybody.
Well, thank you for saying that. I felt really good about it. And it just feels good to have, I don't want any enemies. And I certainly don't want to be enemies with the person who gave me so many blessings and so many opportunities. And so I was really thankful that he took it well and didn't, and that he left the door open. That
I
made me
mean,
feel really good.
it also helps you tell them, I don't want to go work anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm not out to compete with him by any means.
Right.
No.
Yeah, man, that's just so awesome. I mean, and I've never met Vince, but I know I've heard a lot of stories about how he has respect for people that are very strong-willed and stick to their convictions. And so I could see where you coming to him and having carried yourself the way you did, I could see why he would maybe be less combative with you than other people. So
that, and also never getting a phone call about Molly Holly doing this or that. Like, you can't say that about a lot of people, you know? So,
Yeah, I wasn't much of a troublemaker behind
right.
the scenes, so.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Right now, I'm being joined by a dear friend of mine. He's the host of Jim and Sam show on Sirius, Faction Talk. I believe that's what channel it is.
That's it.
Yeah, and he's also the host of the Not Sam Wrestling Podcast, and he's also a major contributor to all the pre-shows, everything on the WWE Network. My dear friend Sam Roberts. Thank you, man.
Thank you. It's so wild. I mean,
What?
still, like, for you to say my dear friend Sam Roberts, because
You
like,
are my dear friend.
I know, but it's just like, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like about what we're gonna like talk about today and everything, and some of my favorite moments in your career. And like,
I was really happy, man, that you picked this topic too, because
yeah,
it's not a topic everyone would think of, but it's an interesting one. There's a good story behind it.
well, yeah, I love this one. The only other one that I was gonna bring up, like, I think my favorite thing that I've ever brought up to you is when I told you that the first time I ever saw you live was when I was a kid, and it wasn't the Raw where you had your match with Brett, but it was the qualifier. It was the Nikolai match. And you're like, oh.
I think I won with a small package, right?
I think so.
I hate, I felt bad because like I talked about, not really enjoying working with Nikolai. And, I think word got back to him and I felt really bad afterwards because I seen him like a few places before he passed away. And he wasn't real happy to see me. And I guess I could understand why. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. What do you say? Like
it was the truth, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the point. But yeah, so I thought like I would want to talk to you about something that I would imagine that you have to enjoy a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And for me, like this match to me, and I was watching it again today, is so interesting because it almost exists like on the show that it's on, it exists in this universe by itself. Like there's this kind of other, like there's this shit show going on over here, and then you
The
and
whole
Eddie
thing, the
Guerrero.
whole show, man.
Oh, terrible, terrible. But I'm trying. It's the ladder match for the U.S. title that you and Eddie had at Sold Out '97, and I feel like that match gets overlooked a lot, and it shouldn't. But I think the reason it gets overlooked is because of the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't one of the best shows WCW ever did pay-per-view wise, or any otherwise for that matter. So yeah, I can understand why it gets lost in history. Just as much as I understand, like I had this great match, tag match, Kane and I versus Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, but it was on Over the Edge from Kansas City the night that Owen passed away. So it was a great match that people don't really talk about.
Right, because it's like, how do you get past the headline?
Yeah. But this is interesting because, the people that know about it, like it gets really good reviews, and I'm proud of the match, Sam.
Yeah,
I'm actually very proud of it.
I think like what's really amazing watching it, first of all, like just the whole the whole psychology behind the show, like when poor Eddie has to come out to no music.
Oh God, jumping bean, Mexican jumping bean, and stuff like that.
Yeah, calling him a Mexican jumping bean and then calling him a loser the whole time, and it's like, I mean, you can't like it's one like I get it, like it's the NWO putting on a show, but like there's this real, you can't just be all heel burial because then it's like at home. Like I remember watching that show with my dad, and we didn't really get WCW pay-per-views, but I was such an NWO fan. I was like, no, we got to get this one. And my dad would sit there and he's like, this is WCW? Like this isn't even close to what they're doing
Yeah.
in WWE.
Yeah, it was something else. I the whole lead up and me stealing the belt and
Yeah.
trying to make it make sense to have a ladder match and all that. And I loved all that. I loved working with Eddie. I enjoyed, I don't know if I at the time, I was real happy about stealing the belt. I think I wanted to be the official champion or whatever, but whatever,
Right.
it kind of made sense.
Yeah. And like it actually which wasn't common for WCW necessarily. It had a nice month-long build where you start the thing at Starrcade, where you jump him and you take the title, and then the match gets made and everything. So it did make sense, and it almost I thought it was cool that it let Eddie win, and it was almost more heroic because it was like he was getting his title back without ever losing the title.
Yeah. And so there's a couple things about this. Like I said, I'm proud of it in that but when we got back from the match, I got Scott Hall was waiting for me when we got back from the match, and I was pretty proud of the match.
Mhm.
And he started in on me, because psychology wise, him and Sean, they worked really hard to get that ladder match down pat, like a lot of house show matches and that before they actually had the WrestleMania 10 ladder match. And so they had the psychology of a ladder match down pat, right? And the thing is, Eddie and I were supposed to meet up the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And I had all the tapes, the DVDs, the tapes, etc., of the ladder matches, and we were going to watch it, and we were going to, study that formula, and Eddie just never showed up.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I can't tell you what he was doing at the time, but he never showed up that night.
Yeah.
And so we had to put it together when we got to the building, and it just. So, I mean, there was that. And then we got to the building, and I walk into the arena, and Sam, there's a ladder that's at the base is 8 or 10 feet wide and 30 freaking feet high.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, we done it. Kevin Sullivan was like, oh, it's a great visual. I'm like, but you fucking climb that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, there's nothing we can do with that, Kevin. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to go grab a couple 8-foot ladders, and I knew enough we need more than one ladder in case this one breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that there was a thought to use that bigger ladder, because the other thing that I was watching is the belt seems like it's hung so much higher than usual in ladder matches. You guys have to get up on that top rung and then stand straight up. Usually when you watch a ladder match, you can go second or third rung from the top, and you can reach that thing if you need to.
Sure.
But it was insane how high up it was. I don't know. I don't know if it was because you guys were both young or because just there hadn't been as many ladder matches, but there was so little hesitancy to everything. The match just had such a pace, and I felt every spot and every bump, I was watching for it, and there wasn't 1 second of either of you two worrying oh, this is gonna hurt. I'm gonna lose my balance. Let me make sure this is set up right. It was just I mean, that kick that you would nail just off the ladder. It seemed like you didn't have a fear in your mind.
I didn't have a fear in my mind because it wasn't planned, and it wasn't something I was anticipating until I climbed up there. I'm pretty sure it didn't dawn on me, hey, let me just drop kick this guy from the second to the top rung of the ladder.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. I mean, that was a long way down, man. When you see me hit that kick, and then it seems like forever before I hit the ground, right?
Yeah.
It was just something I just did out there, man.
That first
Eddie looked at me as soon as I said drop kick. He went, oh fuck! He said something crazy, you crazy motherfucker. Oh, down he goes,
Because we're up here, we're doing it now. What are you gonna argue? What are you gonna do?
So I was talking about how Scott gave us shit when we got back.
Yeah.
And I understand, and he's not wrong, but the match was good. it was a good match, man.
I
I was pretty happy with it. It bummed me out that he jumped my shit when I got back from it.
Is
He
it
could have
because,
waited till later.
yeah, because it was. I mean, regardless, it was good. And even like I didn't. Is it because he didn't like the pacing of it?
That, and I didn't go for the ladder soon enough because we're trying to. It's just there were some things that like, and I get the criticism, but man, it really bothered Eddie a lot because he heard it, when he come back. And
Yeah.
it really, it bothered him for a long time whenever that subject would come up in that match. Even though it was a great match, I thought it was a hell of a match.
Did he like the match, Eddie?
I think he did, but I think once he heard that, I think it tainted the memory maybe a little bit. If that makes any sense.
It definitely does. Yeah. Because other people's words start getting in your head and you're like, it kind of replaces whatever feeling you had coming off of the match.
Yeah.
I like, but from the beginning, like the first kick that you throw, it looks like you kick him right in the face.
I probably did.
Like there's no it just looks like that's the trick to it. I'm just gonna spin kick him in the face, and that's how we're gonna set the pace.
Yeah, I always have put your hand up. Like, I don't mean to give away trade secrets here, but I'd rather not kill somebody with the kick.
Yeah.
You know?
What was the so there were a couple of things. Did you know going into the match, like, okay, this has the potential to be a great match, ladder matches, and it's still it's January of 97. So it's really, 3 years removed from WrestleMania 10. So ladder matches are not crazy overdone. It's still a pretty new match, and you know what Eddie's capable of, and you know what you're capable of. So you know what the potential of this match is. When you're watching the show unfold, because you guys went on second to last. So when you're watching the show unfold and you're realizing maybe a lot of these ideas on paper that made sense for the NWO kind of suck as the presentation. Like, this is not a great pay-per-view.
I mean, did they really make sense on paper even though?
I was trying to be optimistic.
I know, right?
But did you know, this is a bad pay-per-view? Does that affect you going into a match? Or
I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was concerned that we were going out there to have a ladder match and somebody could get hurt.
Right.
And I mean, do you remember the point where we did the teeter-totter spot with the ladder?
Yeah.
And he jumped down up the apron and the ladder hit me under the chin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I still have a scar on my chin from that.
I knew it.
It lifted me up off the ground.
I knew it because you couldn't see the impact, which sucks because the shot was from Eddie's vantage point.
Yeah.
But, I could tell the way you reacted to it, the speed with which you reacted. I was like, that's not a person that is, pretending to react to a ladder. That's how somebody reacts when a ladder hits them in the face.
Oh yeah, it kind of knocked me out, if we're to be honest about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What was at first I thought they were boom mics. Remember those weird, I thought they were boom mics at ringside, but I guess they were those bad kind of cameras that they were trying to angle into the ring.
Oh yeah, I think that's what they were.
Yeah,
because they had some weird shots, right?
Yeah. Does that get into your head at all when you're in the ring and you're seeing these guys with these big whatever on sticks kind of pointing stuff in the ring? Do you think about that at all, or do you that's somebody else's issue?
I didn't even think of it. If they look, I mean, they just needed to be careful and watch out because they could get wiped out at any time, right? A cameraman's job in wrestling is a hazardous job, man. I've wiped a few of them out.
Yeah. I mean, especially in that type of match, especially when you guys are flying all over the place and you're jumping off ladders and stuff. That's where it gets dangerous. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so your plan wasn't necessarily to have this steal the show. It was just, we don't know what we're going to do out there. We just don't want to hurt each other.
No, my plan was to steal the show.
Regardless.
And and I think we still did.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I don't think you could argue. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there's anything on that show worth going back and watching. And no offense to anybody that's on the show, because there's lots of good people on the show. But
the matches were cold. A lot of the matches were cold matches. Nobody cared about. They cared about the individuals, but there was no, Jericho and Chono and different great, both awesome, but like
incredible.
They didn't put anything into it, like as far as building the matches up and Scott and Kev versus Harlem Heat, they had a little bit of a history. And was it those guys or was it
Steiners?
Steiners, yeah.
It's the Steiners because that's when the referee came out of the crowd.
Yeah,
and did the thing. Did you feel any kind of way? Because like it was a very heavy NWO victory night, and like Scott and Kevin lost, but it was because there was a WCW referee in the audience, so that wasn't like that wasn't like a real loss. You were one of the few that had to take the L.
Somebody had to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like, why does it have to be me again? Or were you like, no, this is just the way we do this?
No, this was Eddie. This was Eddie Guerrero. And it was, that's my job.
Right.
That's my job. And I was fine with it. It never even crossed my mind. Oh man, I want to win this. Like I kind of had a feeling going in. That's what we were going to do. And that was just fine, man. That's Eddie freaking Guerrero. Right. So
Did Eddie drop the belt?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Like I almost he dropped it almost on me. He had to jump down and pick it up off me to hold it up, show everyone that he won. So it kind of got a little bit botched at the end there, but people still got with it, right?
Yeah, and you're smart enough to like keep your hands like way far away from it, so nobody could say, "Well, he touched the belt for it." No, no, my hands were up here somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
So man,
did you guys did you come off of that wanting to do more stuff like that, wanting to do more ladder stuff, wanting to do more stuff with Eddie, or was it just, let's keep rolling?
I just wanted to keep rolling. Okay, so I lost that match, but it wasn't like I felt like it hurt my momentum in any way,
Right.
I was the type of guy that could lose anytime and still be whatever,
Yeah.
It was just my deal. So no, I wasn't really interested in pursuing ladder matches any further
because it hurt.
I don't know. It's just, I don't want to be known for that. I mean, that's a spot like you get cornered into being that guy, like kind of like the, Edge and all them, Dudley's with their table ladders, chairs stuff. Like you gotta keep trying to top it. And, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah. Are you a guy that they talk about like how Undertaker would want JR to do commentary on a specific match, or people, I think Austin liked having JR on his matches.
Yes.
Kind of hear the commentary as he went, and that's how he wanted his matches laid out. Did you care about that? Because the commentary was also not
the best.
Not good on this show. Yeah.
And Eric is usually pretty good commentator. It was just he was trying to be in the character, and it hurt that. Yeah,
you had two heel color guys.
Yeah.
And I never had I always thought Eric was pretty good with
he is usually.
Yeah. But is that something that you think about? Did you want or your job is in the ring and you're pretty good at sticking to your
okay, it would have been nice if there was a little bit straighter, commentary on that, because it can help or hurt the match. So I'm just going to use my match with Bret Hart, for instance. Jim Ross and Macho Man Randy Savage did one of the greatest jobs ever in calling that match I've ever heard of any match. And then, later they put that match on Coliseum Home Video or something, and they had, it was like Stan Lane and Gorilla Monsoon voiced it over and just ruined it. Completely ruined it.
It
really pissed me off. So it could have, helped out a lot. Whatever. What do we got to do?
How difficult? I know for fans, just the idea of calling it in the ring, I think is a hurdle that we have to get over, because for most of us, that seems like extremely difficult and extremely nerve-wracking and going in. But going into a ladder match when you don't have a ton of ladder match experiences and figuring out spots as you go, did you, even though you didn't have Eddie, did you kind of figure out to yourself, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I'll call this, I'll call that? Did you have spots?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Because I was talking with JBL about Eddie, and JBL had amazing matches with Eddie, right? But he would tell you Eddie was not the guy to put matches together.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a called in there guy. He was
Mhm.
great at it. He had great instincts in the ring or whatever. But I mean, maybe that's why he never showed up to put the match together with me. It just wasn't his thing. But
Yeah.
no, he brought, he had ideas. Like the teeter-totter spot was his idea.
And I mean,
You know?
but it's just amazing because as you're watching this thing, like it doesn't feel at all like it's made up as you go. Like
Oh,
that,
really?
not
Like
at all.
I think it does in a good way though. Like I think it seems like most of the stuff seems fairly spontaneous. Like
Oh,
it doesn't look overly contrived, right?
No, not at all. It does feel super spontaneous. I think that's what that's what I was feeling and seeing when I was going back to talking about even that spot where you like crotched yourself on
Mhm.
the corner, you know?
Yeah,
Like there was no hesitation. That's what I
yeah.
kept coming back to. Like no hesitation on anything. But I guess that's because you weren't thinking about anything. It was just like,
Just
all right,
doing it.
just do it now. Okay, I'll do it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when people talk about calling it in the ring, I mean, people are calling it in the ring, but they're calling stuff they've done a million times in other matches.
Right.
So it's not like they're just making everything up from scratch each time they go out there. So
Right.
let's be real about calling it in the ring.
Right, and other people's spots. Like, I mean, part of being in the business,
Yes.
not just you knowing your stuff, but you know
Yeah.
Eddie's stuff. So, like, you can call if you're like, "Oh, hit me with this thing." You
Yeah.
know what he does, and he knows
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking
Let's do the old such and such. Okay.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
Seems
Right.
like this would work right now.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that.
So, do you watch yourself back? Like, will you watch the match back to kind of get that feeling back of, "You know what? This was good," or will you not? Because my thing is, like, if you don't watch it back pretty quickly after the match,
Yeah.
then I feel like Scott's words might be in your head, and it would be tough for you to remember in the moment that it was
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah. And because I didn't get a chance to see it right away.
Right. Yeah, because it was a
Yeah.
different time too. It's like everything's on video anyway, so it's not like you
Yeah.
could just go and wind it back.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it actually took me a while to actually see a replay of it. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe months. It was just we were busy doing a lot of stuff, and you
of
know,
course.
I just know how it felt out there, and it
Mhm.
felt good out there. We had reactions out there, and so like I was happy with it, man. I was really happy with it, and I, we both should have been,
Yeah.
even regardless of whether Scott's criticisms were fair or not, and they were totally fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially at the time, right? But I also think that when you look at ladder matches today, they're probably a little more like what you and Eddie did than what was going on, before you guys,
Sure. Oh
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
Because I think it's more just like boom, 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 boom. Um, which I think says a lot, I mean, I think that says a lot about what people wanted. And at the same time, too, it's like it's one of those things where, yeah, the psychology is important, but once you've let the cat out of the bag and you've had a few good ladder matches and everybody's seen those ladder matches,
Yeah,
you can't do them you can't do those tricks anymore. It's like you were saying
exactly.
about, doing a bunch of ladder matches. Like, I feel like the Edge and Christian versus Hardy Boys match just from No Mercy, like the tournament end, that was like one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen, but that led to the 2 TLC matches and everything, and
Sure.
it gets to the point where Edge has to, fly through the air and do the spear off the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I remember when they were putting those together. I remember getting hot at Michael Hayes because he was saying, "Oh, it would be great if you did." I'm like, "You get up there and do that, Michael." Just butting myself into their business. It's like it wasn't even my business. I'm like walking by, I go, "Oh, that's bullshit." No. No wonder Michael didn't like me.
Yeah. Where does that rank on your WCW career, the matches that you really like from WCW?
Oh, in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it
Yeah.
was with Eddie, it was a pay-per-view. Like it was kind of a big match, even though unfortunately it was on the very first Sold Out. So I mean, but what are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
But you also like, I mean, at the time, you weren't going on second to last all that often. You weren't having big ladder matches all that
Yeah.
often. So I do feel like at that point in both of your careers, because we all are aware of how good Eddie is now, but at that time, that's not how WCW portrayed him.
Nope.
Like Eddie was not looked at as this is one of the greatest to ever do it.
Right.
Probably that's not how WCW put him over. So the fact that you two, at that moment in your careers were given that spot, and then you go out there and on a bad pay-per-view have a great match. Like, that I think that's what stands the test of time. That's what holds up historically. That's why, to me, that's one of those matches where for both of you, it's like when you go like, well, what did Eddie do that made him so great? Or what did Six or the Kid or X-Pac or Sean Waltman, what did he do that made him so great? It's like, well, not only look at this ladder match, but look at it in the context of where it was and when it was. And that's what those guys did.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm with you.
That's why I like it so much.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate you bringing this up, man, because not a lot of people know the story behind this. And, yeah. And
I mean, it's even crazier to me that you didn't have much of a plan going in, that you guys didn't talk about this ahead of time at all.
A little bit.
That adds to the legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, it was as far as I'm concerned, it was a great match.
By the way, I meant to tell you too while I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Wrestling for Sale on Instagram, but he did like a WrestleMania, like he does like vintage, like he sells vintage wrestling shirts.
Yeah.
And he was like selling a bunch of them. And I got because I have the old Outsider shirt, I have the old 6-ball NWO shirt, like the originals, all of them. And I got the one like original NWO shirt that I never had.
That doesn't have the letters under, like, the very first one, just NWO.
Yeah, I finally have an NWO shirt without the words on it. I love it.
Yeah, that shirt. Yeah, Neil Pruitt made those shirts. I think it was. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that logo, man. I mean, you're wearing it today. That it's still cool, dude. It's still cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Sam, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. I get the chance to talk to people like you, I mean, it just makes my show better. So thank you.
I mean, yeah, it's an honor for me. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Hey, Nick, is there anything you want to add to this?
No. I thought that was great. I was just taking a stroll down memory lane here as you guys were talking. I remember distinctly watching this pay-per-view and being very confused as a youth. I had no idea what was going on.
I
tried to leave like today when I was watching it, I tried to leave the pay-per-view on to be like, because like I was like, well, no, I mean, I remember this is a bad pay-per-view, but that match was so great, and I love the NWO so much. And like as soon as the match is over, they go to like the next round of Miss NWO. And I'm like,
that's that's really cool. Let's make out with heavyset women sitting on toilets or whatever it was. Like, wasn't it like a toilet was the throne or something? Like, it was some just crazy weird shit.
And I was kind of annoyed too, because I thought the entranceway was actually kind of cool because it was new and it was different from what they usually do. And they put like 6 up there in like almost like it looked like light bulbs. Like it wasn't like, computer stuff or whatever, but they did such a bad job of showing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's they should have those are those little production elements. Like you build this amazing set, but like spend some time like showing this big light up 6 thing,
we should have known what we were in store for. Like the night before, the story about like that they had us do this thing in like 50 below wind chill weather
with the garbage truck
on the back of a garbage truck coming into town. Like, oh, what the fuck, man?
Well, like that never made any sense whatsoever. Like I get that the NWO is counterculture, but it was also Hollywood. Like it was also
why would we do that to ourselves if we make the rules?
Of course, you get limos. You get big Hummer stretch limos with chicks in them and just be badasses showing up, spending all of WCW's money on your limos. Like, why would the biggest stars in wrestling be on the back of garbage trucks in the middle of winter?
Hey, you know what though? I will say this because we're kind of like, and rightfully so, we're going in hard on the NWO Souled Out pay-per-view, but like for the most part, we had a pretty good batting average back then. That was one of the few times where we struck out hard.
Okay, yeah. See, that's another thing that really stuck in my head. I was like thinking about how today, like people would just destroy that on Twitter. Like, did you see what that was last night and everything? the fact that that's January 97. You guys are still like about to hit your peak. Like there is so much more money to be made with the NWO. The fact that whole pay-per-view didn't even slow it down. Like
Not
it
even
really,
a bit.
not even a little bit. And everybody, even at the time, was like, yeah, that pay-per-view sucked, but the NWO is still the coolest thing in wrestling.
Yes.
Like that shows you how big the group was. Cause I remember as a fan, like I remember going like, it was one of those things where I had to like kind of self-justify the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's fine.
I think the attitude was everyone deserves a mulligan now and then.
Yes. Yeah. And you did. And then you went on Nitro and like, it was awesome again. So, you know,
I kind of mentally scrubbed it from my head just so I could be like, that was more like a fever dream, right? We'll get back to business now. Like almost like it didn't even happen at the time, I think. So, well, cool.
Right.
Well, this was wonderful. You should probably let Sam plug whatever he wants, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
Well, you did a great job before, but of course, I'm on Sirius XM every morning on channel 103 with Norton. You can get my podcast, Not Sam Wrestling, wherever you get podcasts. It comes out every Monday. And then I got a whole bunch of stuff always going on the Not Sam YouTube channel, youtube.com/Not Sam. So check it out.
Is Not Sam Wrestling still on the free version of the network or anything like that? Or what's going on with that?
I think it'll be on Peacock at some point. Like it's not, I think it's part of because they said all of the programming will be there by SummerSlam, I think. So
but it's still like if somebody lives in like Canada or Europe, they can still see it on the network.
Yep.
Okay.
I forgot. Yeah, it still exists. So like if you still have the WWE network outside of the States, I love 15 episodes, Not Sam Wrestling. X-Pac was on the first one. And I had such a good time making that show. So if you haven't watched that and you have the network still, or you got one of those like IP things where they think that you're in the UK even though you're in the States.
The VPN.
You got that VPN gimmick, then definitely watch Not Sam Wrestling on the network. Thank you, man.
Cool. All right, everybody, it's game show time. We got a new game show this week. Last week we had Twitter Mania, and it was very fun. But we're going to switch it up this week. And this week's game show is called Mortal Kombat or Monday Night Raw. And so anyways, I guess we could bring in the contestants now. First, I don't know where he's from, but the first contestant is our good friend Michael Cohen. Say hi to Michael, everybody.
Hey, Sean, how's it going? I'm
good, man.
From Toronto, Canada. From Toronto, Canada.
I was wondering. I didn't see where you hail from on here.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you being a Patreon member. Thank you.
No problem, man. No problem. Congrats on two-time Hall of Fame. Two-time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't have my rings on right now. I feel naked. They're right in the other room. But anyways. All right, so you ready to meet your opponent?
Yep.
All right, Michael. I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure he's from New Jersey. And if he's not, I'm going to hear about it. But I've known this guy for quite a while. Everybody say hello to Joey Image. What's up, Joey?
Good evening, gentlemen. You got New Jersey right, brother. Of course.
Damn, Joey with the radio voice.
Good to see you again, dude.
You too, man.
Actually, last time I saw you was in New Jersey.
Yeah. I was right? You're a Jersey guy, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the last time we saw each other in person was the JR thing in God, where was Starland Ballroom or something, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, Paramus, or what was it? No, not Paramus. Anyways,
no, it's not Paramus, but I'm right next to Paramus.
Something like that. Anyways, you look like you lost some weight since last time I saw you.
I wish I had.
I
hope so.
Know, when you look at us from the front and you can't see our guts, like it does look like,
that's
kind of thin.
That's why the camera stops right here. Yeah, that's why the camera stops right here.
All right. Hey, so anyways, Michael, meet Joey. Joey, say hey to Michael.
What's going on, brother?
Joey. How's it going, Joey?
All right, man.
Okay, so anyways, I think you probably heard about you guys the name of the
I didn't see
the game is Mortal Kombat or Monday Night Raw. Yeah, but you might still be. I mean, it's
I also didn't see Raw last or
Okay.
yesterday or the other day, whatever the hell it was.
All right. So, anyways, it's called Mortal Kombat or Monday Night Raw. And I'm going to go back and forth between Michael and Joey reading them a line of dialogue that is either from the new Mortal Kombat movie or the most recent episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. They'll get 1 point if they guess the right show and a bonus point if they can name the Mortal Kombat character or WWE superstar who uttered the line of dialogue. You guys, do we have the, are we all clear on the rules?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into it.
I might be fucked.
No, you'll be all right.
I haven't seen either
will
one.
be all right. I didn't see it all either. So, all right. How do we decide who goes first? To decide who goes first, we're going to do a quick scavenger hunt. The first one of you to go find a pro wrestling action figure in your home and show it to me on screen will go first.
Really? Oh, wait. There you go.
All right, Joey. That counts. It's a Funko Pop, but it counts.
Just happening right next to me.
Who is that, by the way?
Kenny Omega.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Oh, cool.
All right. So okay, you guys ready? Joey, you ready?
Yeah, man.
All right, here's the quote, and you got to tell me Monday Night Raw or Mortal Kombat. Okay, the quote is no mask, no allegiance, no business.
I'm going to say Mortal Kombat and Sub-Zero said it.
Wrong on both counts. So it was Monday Night Raw, and the person that said it was Mace.
Who the hell's me? Oh, all right. The Retribution guy.
Retribution, yeah.
Okay.
They got their mask ripped off, and
Now I have to watch it at some point.
all right. Michael, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here's the quote. We need to find every last champion before it's too late. FYI, most of them are already dead.
I'm gonna say Mortal Kombat,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint who said it in Mortal Kombat.
Can you guess? Do you even know any of the?
No, honestly, in full honesty, no.
Actually, you got a point. You got a point because you're right about Mortal Kombat. You didn't get the bonus point though, Michael. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, right now, 1
Was
to
it-
0.
Was it Scorpion?
No, it was actually Sonya Blade.
Oh, man.
God,
My favorite one to look at.
All right. Okay, so. All right, Joey, your turn again.
Wonderful.
Okay, here's the quote. I'm so down. I say we get matching snakeskin Speedos.
Jesus Christ. That could go either way. I've heard that in several locker rooms myself. I'm going to say, oh, man, Mortal Kombat and Johnny Cage.
No, it was Monday Night Raw, and
What the fuck?
Matt Riddle was the one who said it.
Who did he say it to?
Shit, probably Randy Orton, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch that.
It was Randy Orton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they
Dark
they
Bro.
teamed together, and
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
RK Bro, I think they called themselves. So,
I am.
hey
zero
Joey, man,
too.
I'm sorry that you're not doing so good so far.
I was hoping we were doing tic-tac-toe holding, but it's okay.
I'm sorry, dude. We're gonna bring
No,
you back. Oh, we can bring you back for that too.
I would love to do that.
All right. But right now we are playing Mortal Kombat on Monday Night Raw. All right, where are we?
Number
All right.
3.
All right. Michael, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Here's the quote. I really don't understand what happened. Instinct just took over, but I took the high road.
I'm gonna guess Monday Night Raw, and I'm gonna guess Randy Orton.
No, you were correct on Monday Night Raw, but you are not correct on the Superstar.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Hey, so like,
That sounds like an Orton line.
I was going to ask you if you wanted to guess who the Superstar was, Joey, but you already guessed Randy, and that was wrong.
I was thinking Orton, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was Charlotte. It was Charlotte Flair. All right. How we doing on score so far?
And then we're not doing good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like 3
I'm
to
gonna
1.
end up with 0. I don't even have 1.
No? Okay.
So,
I mean, we
I
might
don't
have to
think so.
if we have to cheat, we'll get you on the board somehow. Did I say that out loud?
It's only cheating if you get caught.
All right, here we go. I have risen from hell to kill you.
I'm gonna go. I want to say Vince McMahon, but I'm gonna go with Mortal Kombat Liu Kang.
Well, you got the Mortal Kombat right. You're on the board with 1 point,
Oh my
Joey.
God, wow.
Joey Image on the board, ladies and gentlemen. However, you were incorrect about the person that said it, or the character. It was actually Hanzo Hasashi,
Okay.
who later becomes Scorpion. Or Scorpion?
Scorpion, yeah.
Right. Here I am, like I said, I put a tweet out the other day. I'm a big fan of both Mortal Kombat movies. And then like everyone was like, yeah, but there's like 4 of them. And then anyways, whatever. I'm acting like I know all about Mortal Kombat, and apparently I don't know shit. So all right. So 1 point for Joey.
Finally, I got at least 1. I mean, it's better
That's
than
all right.
shutout.
Hey man. Build some momentum here. All right, Michael. Here we go. Here's the quote. Combat takes intelligence, but you're like a dog who fails his training classes.
Oh man. I feel like that could be from Raw, and it could be MVP.
Actually,
That's a really good guess.
yeah, that sounds like something he would say.
I feel like it's Raw. I just don't know for sure who said it.
Okay, well, is that your answer, Raw?
Yeah.
No, you're incorrect. It was actually
Oh,
Mortal
really?
Kombat. Yeah, it was actually Mortal Kombat. And Joey, your answer for the last question,
Liu
you
Kang
gave
said
Liu
it.
Kang. It was Liu Kang who said this, actually.
God damn.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was a trick question. The word combat in the quote
Yeah.
made me
Yeah.
think it was a trick. It had to be Raw. Damn.
I'm not sure if we do trick questions on our game shows here.
I'll remember that now.
All right, Joey.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the quote. We've got flying tomatoes. This is going to get a 98% on the Rotten Tomato meter. We've got flying projectiles everywhere.
What the fuck? Monday Night Raw. Tom Phillips.
You were correct, Monday Night Raw. You were incorrect
Oh.
on the person who said it. It was actually Adnan Burke.
Adnan Burke. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, is that the new guy? I don't
Yes.
even know who he is.
Yeah.
the new guy.
Okay.
Yeah, the new guy said it. So, okay, how are we doing
Wow.
score-wise?
Now I
Like
have to
you have 2 or 3 points now.
2.
2?
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, we're tied. We're tied 2 apiece here. So I think that this should be the last round, however you want to decide it. So,
All right. Okay. All right, here you go. Michael.
Yep.
Here's the quote. You see that right here? Oh, sorry. I read it wrong. Sorry, my bad. Totally my bad. You see that right there? All bark and no bite. That's what I'm talking about.
I feel like this one is a Mortal Kombat quote, but again, I don't know who said it in Mortal Kombat. But I'm gonna
Okay.
say Mortal Kombat is my answer.
Okay. Well, you would be wrong.
Wait, since this is the last one, can I try to steal for the win since we're tied?
Do you want to do that, Nick?
Or does that not count because now I know it's not Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I feel that's fine. The rules are irrelevant here. So yeah, that's
All right.
So I'm gonna say Monday Night Raw MVP.
No.
Oh
No,
man.
no. Okay, and we already got Monday Night Raw, so like you would have just got the point for the. It wasn't MVP. It was Sheamus.
Okay.
Oh.
If you said it in an
man.
accent, we got it.
Yeah. Hey, as I was reading these, as I'm reading them, like they seem like oh, you should get all these right, but like these aren't as easy as they appear, right? Like
Right.
like some of these are kind of hard. Huh. All right, here we go. Joey, it's on you now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here's the quote. I also give really good foot massages.
God. Was Gene Snitsky on Raw? Jesus.
As long as it's not to Marcellus Wallace's wife.
Yeah, that wouldn't end up well. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Monday Night Raw, and I have no idea who would have said that on Raw. It's probably okay.
Weirdly enough, it's from Mortal Kombat, and Kano said it.
That's my favorite character, at least from the first game.
You probably like it in this one too, or this movie.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
Yeah. All right, so we're not done yet. We got one more. Michael.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's the quote. I don't know where you're from, but we have nothing in common.
I feel like this is Raw, and that's Bobby Lashley.
You're correct. It was Monday Night Raw, but you were wrong on the bonus point. It was actually Randy Orton. And I'm assuming it was Randy Orton talking to Matt Riddle.
Yeah,
Yes, you're right
that would
about
make sense. Yeah.
You're right about
And, Joey, I hate to say it, man, because, like, honestly, I was hoping you were
Hey,
going to
I'm
win.
only down by
I'm sorry,
one.
Michael.
Oh, no, it's cool. It's cool.
I'm only down by 1 point, man. That's fine with me.
Yeah,
Oh,
so we'll bring you
I've
back
done
on.
the job many a time. It's okay.
We'll bring you back on, Joey.
Absolutely, man.
When we get, I mean, for sure, we get tic-tac-toe again, but we'll bring you back on for sure anyways, because you have such a sweet voice.
I try.
It's a golden voice you got there, Joey.
It's made for radio. Just like my face.
Hey, can I say real quick before you ask them both to plug their stuff, Sean?
Yeah.
Totally validated this game to me. I don't think people could tell the difference between the dialogue in either of these pieces of content. And I was with you. I was like, I'm going to write them down. It'd be real obvious. And like the fact that people don't know the difference really tickles me. So anyway, I'll let you shut this down.
Yeah, man.
I think almost all of the Mortal Kombat quotes sounded like something MVP would have said.
I'm not going to argue with that at all. Hey, Joey. Hey, tell everybody what you have going on right now, where to find you on social media, things like that.
Everything, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all at Joey Image TV. ProWrestlingTees.com/Joey Image. And send me your hate mail, joeyimage@gmail.com.
Okay, Joey. Hey, we'll talk to you real soon, man. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you asking, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Good to see you again.
Thank you, bro. Hey, Michael. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, so tell everyone like social media, anything you got going on, all that stuff real quick.
You can follow me on Twitter at WoodStaley93, and you can follow me on Instagram, same handle at WoodStaley93.
At WoodStaley, and what?
I'm really active on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. That's like my go-to for my social media. I'm really active on there.
Thanks. Are you a troll?
No.
Do you have any burner accounts that you troll people on?
No, because
I've never had one of those.
Those ones are always so obvious because you can tell by the pictures, like the weird pictures they use. They always use.
And then if you go look at who they follow, you can connect the people together, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like really obvious. Yeah.
All right, Michael. Hey, congratulations, man. I appreciate you coming on and playing the game with us.
Thanks very much, Sean.
Thank you for being a Patreon. All right, that's it for this edition of Pro Wrestling for Life. I want to thank Sam Roberts for joining us to talk about the Eddie Guerrero ladder match from the very first Souled Out pay-per-view. Want to thank fellow WWE Hall of Famer Molly Holly for spending some time with us. And I'd like to thank Joey Image and Michael Cohen for coming on and playing Monday Night Raw or Mortal Kombat. Or was it the other way around? Mortal Kombat or Monday Night Raw? Either way, thank you guys for coming on and playing that. Nick, anything you want to add before we go?
No, man. I mean, not really. I mean, at Pro Rest for Life, that's us over on social media. And of course, that's where we're going to announce the next big guest there, Monday Before Raw. We got some big announcements coming up here in May. New content. We're going to be expanding now that we seem to have locked down what the weekly show looks like. We're all on the same page here. Time for new stuff. So honestly, if you guys have ideas for stuff you want to see, stuff you want us to be doing, anything like that, at Pro Rest for Life, tag us. We would love to hear your input. And to that end, if you want to support the show, go over to our iTunes page, 5-star ratings, nice comments, all of that stuff is really super helpful. It feeds the beast. And it keeps us alive on the charts, Sean, when people
see, like I never realized just how important that was. And honestly, I don't think a lot of people listening realize it either. But like seriously, if you guys could take a minute or two to go in there and give us a 5-star rating and leave us a positive comment, I'd be very grateful. It'll really help the show. So thank you.
5-star rating and a negative comment is fine too. I don't think that the thing reads what it says. So if you want to be like 5 stars, I think these guys are both douchebags, that's totally fine. But analytics wise, it will help us. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Just give us the 5 stars, even if you want to talk shit. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that's it, everybody. I'm at Nick_Houseman over on Twitter, and that's all I got, Sean.
All right. See y'all next week.